we need to go.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. And your man is on the run. Donald Trump had a meltdown today on the White House lawn just before he headed out, running over to Scotland. And then after his meltdown, he proceeded to go ahead and promote his golf course in his resort over in Scotland. Now, the Scots are none too pleased to see this clown coming. They can't stand him over there. They don't want him there. And I'm surprised with 34 felony convictions, he's going to be allowed to land in their territory. So we'll see what happens. But he's going over there to golf, talked about some meetings they might have. Who knows? I mean, if you're a world leader, what are you doing meeting with Donald Trump? What, you're going to have some silly tariff meeting that he's going to try to charge you out the yin yang? Yeah, I don't think so. We need to tally up his golf trips, because he talked about President Obama's golfing. Nobody plays more golf than Donald Trump. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. I'm the greatest golfer ever. Joined by my partner in crime, Brock Canellis, with a look at what's going on again today. Trumpstein is the scandal. Brock, he can't get away from it. He's trying. He's running to Scotland. I know this trip wasn't on the calendar. So where's he going?
5-day trip, right? Which is pretty long outing. What always kind of now starts to amaze me is how gloves off foreign citizens are, right? Like he was just getting basted and mocked in the newspapers.
My God, they're
so
killing
this trip is they hate him over there because they think his golf course, he's lied about shit, and you know the real estate deal that he did, was basically typical Trump. He lied. He fucked with the environment. He did all kinds of shit that pisses them off. But yeah, you're right. He can't run away from the Epstein thing. I thought one of the funnier backdoor mockeries of Trump was how the South Park guys somehow did the deal with Paramount, who had just fired Colbert to get their deal confirmed. Their deal got confirmed. And then they sign up South Park, and the South Park guys just roasted Trump last night.
Killed him.
Yeah, so he is just being the mockery. And they do say that the way to take down authoritarians is through comedy and to poke the hole in their veneer. It's sort of why in China, Xi Jinping doesn't allow them to call him like Winnie the Pooh anymore, right? Because of the mockery, and it chips away at their strength. But yes, South Park went hard.
In the paint.
So Trump is a punching bag right now.
Oh, yeah.
Not that changes the dynamic, the power dynamic yet. But, it chips away at the strongman image, and it helps move people away from him. So, I was a little less, I was really skeptical yesterday when you told me he's going down. I'm 2 steps less skeptical today. Because when I see that kind of mockery, and when the mockery becomes like a big story, the South Park thing became as big a story as anything Trump was trying to say today, right? Like he got trumped by comedy.
Right. And think about it, Brock, as the week has gone on, let's go back and look at the week in review. As the week has gone on, his lies have become more and more outlandish, right? Today, he's throwing Larry Summers, the former president of Harvard, under the bus, right? Talking about him living with Epstein, right? Larry Summers is going to come and slap him with a lawsuit. He's definitely going to hit him with a lawsuit for defamation. And he's throwing President Clinton under the bus. And he's got a list, he says, of about 100. I got a list of 100 names. I'm going to give them all to you. Those are the folks you need to be talking about. And it's getting worse. As it progresses, we're starting to see the walls come down. And so that now, like you mentioned the other day, that scares me because he's like a caged animal, right? And he'll do anything, right, to get away and try to preserve power. But what's happening now is that, even though a lot of these, your estate media, your CBS's, obviously state regime media, Fox News, have been kowtowing to this guy, they're still taking shots. Now, remember, the network that owns South Park is Paramount. Paramount is just doing this deal, that Trump's got to sign off on, Trump's turning around and saying, hey, I just did this deal for you. And now you're mocking me. And so, nobody takes him serious anymore. Nobody with any credit. You even start to see the White House press corps say, hey, what do you expect, from this Ghislaine Maxwell deal? You know, like, what is your, Department of Justice going to get from her, right? Why are we relitigating this? All we're trying to find out is if your name is on it. And so the press corps is starting to push back now. And I think when they give up on him and his lies, it's a wrap. And that's coming pretty quickly.
Well, it's interesting because apparently Ghislaine Maxwell's lawyer said that she answered questions on 100 different people. So 100 is now the number that all sides are floating. There's no doubt that Trump is trial ballooning the pardon of Ghislaine Maxwell just to see what the reaction's going to be, right? So he's just lobbing it out there that he can do it. He has the right to do it, right? Might make sense to do. It might be the fair thing to do. So he's just seeing whether he's going to get a negative or positive reaction from it. So he'll play with pardon for a while his cronies are out there manipulating Maxwell to make sure that whatever comes out of her fits into the Trump line of thinking or of propagandizing.
Right.
Well, like you said the other day, the press is getting the eyeballs on this, so the press isn't going to give it up because it's too good, right? The press wanted Trump as president because he made for good copy. Biden was boring. Trump's exciting. So in a way, the press is getting what they wanted because they're getting ratings again. Because people are watching, because this is a story.
Right. It's the train wreck you can't look away from. And that's what we've always wanted in the media. To an extent, I'm guilty of it. I spent 30 years in television news. And, we liked it when there were big stories. Right? But they were actual news stories. They weren't the leader of the free world being caught up in the world's biggest sex trafficking scandal. Some of the most influential and most powerful men in North America. And so now, it's more than just a story. It's an international embarrassment, right? To have Donald Trump standing on the White House lawn, calling President Obama a criminal and talking about how President Obama owes him big time. Why does President Obama has 0 scandals in 8 years, 0 administration arrests, 0 indictments. It's a joke.
He's just going for the racism there. Obama's not even a good target on this topic. Look, Clinton's an easy target because we know he wasn't, his morality, meter was
in question. It was in question.
So there's no doubt that he was in there. All right, the story's hanging and the story's sticking with us. And I just got a couple other topics to hit on. Number one is, let's just talk climate change for a second, because you see I'm sweating here. I'm in Boise, Idaho, country trip. I'm in Boise, and there's a little bit of a Wi-Fi issue going on where I'm staying, so I'm outside now doing this podcast with you. So I hop in the car. It is 100 degrees in Boise in the summer. And it has been 90 to 95 degrees everywhere we've gone throughout this cross-country drive. People are just baking. And this is the northern part of the country. And it's just everywhere. He's out of control. It's been 95 all week long. And I'm in the mountains and I'm in the Northwest and I'm figuring it's going to be much cooler here.
Right.
And I think I told you on the radio it's all anyone was talking about. And now Trump, while he's, bobbing and weaving about Epstein, Project 2025 is still peeling shit back. Now I see the headline stories that is decarbonization over? As if we've literally quit on the whole idea of trying to manage the destruction that we've done to the planet that's led to this absurd, both dangerous weather everywhere and just extreme heat. I mean, I'm tired of... We're going to get to September, and then there's going to be headlines that this was the record hottest summer in history in Europe, in the U.S., but it'll be the third or fourth year in a row. So it's it's just going to get hotter every year because now we've decided we're not going to do anything about it. And we're just punting on this in the way that we're punting on vaccines, because even though they work, we let these imbeciles run shit. And now, while we're not watching, Kennedy is rolling back vaccine panels and cancer research. And we're going to defund PEPFAR, which basically wiped out HIV globally.
Right.
To a certain extent. It became... it didn't take it to the measles level. So while we keep talking about Trump over the last 7 to 10 days, because I know we have to get him out of there, the destruction of Project 2020,
Paramount.
it's devastating, it's accelerating, and there's no mechanism for stopping it.
Well, it's interesting you say that too, because the Heritage Fund or the Heritage Foundation's founder died just 2 days ago. And I posted the information on Facebook. Nobody really understood the Heritage Foundation and how pivotal they are in dismantling our democracy. And this guy died, and I posted, one of the most evil human beings, right, to our not to our country, to our civilization.
The greed, right? You think of the greed that, him, the Koch brothers, but these heritage foundations, these Leon Leos with the Federalists, like, these are the people that just write the legislation, right? The legislators, Chuck Grassley, fucking 9-year-old Chuck Grassley, he's not sitting there writing legislation, right? It's getting handed to him by lobbyists like the Heritage Foundation. And then they're bringing it to the floor, and it's basically word for word, right? And that's where Project 2025 is just an extension of the types of lobbying policies that, MAGA politicians have been bringing to the floor for decades now.
Yes.
Absolutely. And so the outcome is me sweating my ass off in Boise, Idaho on a Friday late afternoon. It's like, shouldn't it be cooling down?
You would think.
It's fucking 99.
Yep. I mean, hey, look, we're in the South, bro. Like, we are in the South. You go stand in the driveway, you add humidity to 90 plus degree temperatures.
Yeah.
We've had 21 out of the last 22 days 90 and above, right? And throw the storms in there that we get. You can set your clock by them. Early evening thunderstorms rolling through the region. Lightning strikes here, lightning strikes there, and the storms are worse and worse every year. And you could just look out your window, you can see the clouds just rolling. And, fortunately, we're far enough inland where the hurricanes really never we get some outer band stuff here in Atlanta, but they really don't make it to us. But we can tell, how it's impacting the peanut growers, the watermelon growers, the Vidalia onion growers, the peach growers. We got huge agriculture in this part of the world, all throughout the Southern Belt. And it is really being impacted. I'm surprised we're not on, water conservation already, because you're not supposed to run your sprinklers once we hit that water conservation.
We'll get there. We'll get there by August in the Northeast too. But also, like, meat prices are up. All grocery prices are still up. So that was a fraud. Like, prices are up. So inflation is chipping away at people. Climate change, we don't even talk about anymore. We've kind of just shrugged our shoulders that as long as Trump is president, everything's getting rolled back. Emission standards, whether it be autos, we're digging for coal again and the like. We never even will talk about gun control. It's just an amazing confluence of negative factors that are going on while Trump just fights for his personal life and his personal income with on the corruption that he's fighting for. But really, the rest of us are getting fucked. And we're only 6 and 7 months into this shit.
Right. We got 3.5 more years of this bullshit. I don't know how the U.S. survives. I don't know how our democracy survives, much less the health of the American people survive. Between climate change, the vaccination rollbacks, and all the other shit that they're doing, the lack of cancer research, the defunding this, that, the cuts at the CDC, we already saw how they handle COVID. We know they have no idea how to deal with a pandemic or any kind of outbreak of any sort. I mean, remember, West Nile never really got going good, going back to 2013, 2012, 2013, right?
Yep.
Never really got going good because we had competent people on the job. We don't have anybody that I could put any faith in that's on the job in this clown cabinet, in this clown car.
Yeah.
Because
Mark,
everybody's ridiculous.
So we got a response to one of our podcasts and some commentary made, maybe it was more on social media, about, racism in rural America, right? And somebody clapped back hard, kind of like, no, there's a lot of white people out in rural America, right? And there's a lot of liberals, and it's not what a Brock, Northeastern elite, liberal, libtard, blah, blah guy, get out of your bubble. There's a lot of things a lot going on in rural America, in the white community. And my response was, really? I want to hear it. I don't see it. I see you voting the same MAGA politicians up and down. I see you voting every time. I see you voting for Trump every fucking time. So, now you're getting your hospitals closed, your farms are suffering, every part of your life is suffering, white rural America. But, I mean, I'm just from the camp as a white guy, white liberal Northeast guy, is like, I don't buy it. I saw a couple people get mad at a couple town halls, but I don't see any action from rural America. I just consider you dead red until I'm proven wrong.
Right. Why would you vote any different? Apparently, it's been working for you, right? We never see any upsets. We are constantly watching the electoral map, and we never see these, especially here in Georgia. We don't even look to see if those races are going to be competitive.
Yeah.
Right? We're only looking at the urban areas in Georgia. That's the urban areas are what is making Georgia a purple state. It's not the rural areas. Go to rural South Carolina. It's dead red. Go to rural North Carolina. Totally red. Rural Virginia, same thing. Alabama, Louisiana, Mississippi. We can run across the map.
Mark,
it's
I feel like
Kentucky.
I feel like Kansas had a special election and they voted for abortion rights. And remember, it was supposed to be a big canary in the coal mine. And wow, some of these issues, and sometimes they vote legalization of marijuana. And then there's wow, there is some, a mentality shift going on in some of these deep red states and the blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I don't see any momentum to that or hear any momentum to it. And I feel like, are these the voters / people that are going to turn on Trump? Are any of these folks QAnon enough to go anti-Trump? Because there's a frustration, I have with the country that I just drove through and going to drove back through. I'm seeing Trump signs everywhere, and I'm kind of like, why are you celebrating this man? What are you getting beyond the racism?
Right. And the racism will win out. And you know why? Because the Republicans, again, will do a better job out messaging the Democrats. The Democrats will choose to spend money in all the wrong places. They won't contest any of these rural areas, right? Look what happened with Beto, right? We thought Beto had Texas. We thought he had run a great campaign, right? And then when push came to shove, all the red stayed red. Right? He couldn't count on anything in Texas outside of the urban areas. And you can't win when you can't get that guy sitting at the diner in one of those rural areas to come along with some common sense legislation.
Beto's arguing that the Dems have to go on the offensive. Hogg is trying to get the old-time Dems out of their seats. Malcolm Kenyatta's doing what he can from the inside. But I'm not necessarily seeing the progress. It still feels like a Democratic Party and an opposition that is not meeting the moment, even with the Epstein. Epstein is kind of like a slow-pitch softball right down the middle. Every Democrat should be crushing this one. It's so easy. There's no position they can't lose on this issue. It's so simple. Trump should be a piñata and getting hit by hundreds of Democratic politicians, anyone who can get in front of a microphone, which they can, and that's their advantage over us, right? They can get a microphone in front of them.
Right. Brock, they should be having press conferences every day. Hakeem Jeffries, all they need to do is read what's in the public sphere already. If you just come out and say, hey, folks, this is what we know. These are the facts as we have heard them as it relates to the Epstein conviction, the Maxwell conviction. Here is what we just go down the list and read 10 facts. Now I'll take some questions. How hard is that? Everyone should be doing that, from AOC to Jasmine Crockett to Swalwell. We should be covering the country with that. And we should have our senators doing it too. You blue senators, get on the steps of that Capitol, call your press conference on a daily basis, Get on MSNBC. Get Pete Buttigieg on
Yeah.
Fox News
Be
and tell
proactive.
them,
Call, say you want to be on. Be
I want to be on.
accessible.
I want
Yeah.
to
All right.
be Epstein.
I'm going to have to pull the plug. Before I pass out here in Boise, I'm going to have to find air conditioning. So I'll be driving 30 plus hours. I'll be listening to local radio. I know they'll be talking about all the climate change and weather related problems
Take
that they
notes,
have.
bro.
And the fact that their stations are all going to go out of business because Project 2025 decided to defund
the funding.
local radio. I'm not going to find gas that's lower than $2.58. That'll be the cheapest. Boise's above $3. It's cheaper in Boise than it is where I live in upstate New York.
Absolutely.
Those are three things that I know that I'm going to get hit with, and I'm going to see a bunch of Trump flags along the way. As rural hospitals get closed, I'm going to see these states still cheering. Remember, Wyoming, I'm going to be in Wyoming for 6 hours. That's the state that got rid of Liz Cheney, right? And brought in that MAGA maniac.
Right.
And they're going to tell me that they have some progressive thoughts going on or that we shouldn't write them
so.
off. So I'll try to do the ride with an open mind.
Good luck.
I'll absorb the beauty of the country.
Take notes and take pictures, my friend. Be safe, though.
But yeah, so we'll be off a couple of days and we'll revisit early next week, hopefully with a lot of new fodder to talk about.
Sounds good, buddy. Be
Trump
safe.
Hopefully Trump's approvals have slipped another few points by then.
Let's hope so, brother. All right, my friend. Go get cool.
All right,
Appreciate you. Always a
All
pleasure.
right, Mark, always a pleasure. All right,
Peace.
bye-bye.